Right, so welcome everyone to the English Olympiad. This is our first lecture, okay? And I'd like you all to turn to your study guide on page 4. So everyone turn to page 4 where it says the introduction. Right, and I'm really very pedantically actually going to read through this text with you. And I want you to highlight what is relevant and what is not, okay? Right, everyone got page 4 in front of them? Okay, and I'm just going to read through it quite pedantically. Okay. Right, this year we bring you a handbook and guide that we hope will make your reading of the texts more interesting and challenging. In the past, we have had a main Olympiad study guide for use by all candidates and an additional study guide for first additional language candidates. Okay, now I need to tell you that we do have two first additional language candidates with us here today. I'm not sure, Courtney, are you also first additional language? No, you first language, okay. And these two ladies are very brave in that they are going to be writing the English Olympiad exam for first language, okay, for home language, all right. And it seems like a formidable task, but I've interviewed them personally and I know that they are capable. All right, they have the vocabulary and they are capable of doing this, so that's commendable. Okay, thank you, ladies. The reason that I am very pedantically reading through the Olympiad guide with you is because, quite honestly, I can't trust that you will read it on your own, and I really need to make sure that you understand the rules, that you know what's required of you, and some of you may have just flipped through the study guide and you haven't looked at it in detail. Okay. Right, this year we have combined them into one comprehensive guide that we hope will be useful to all candidates writing the English Olympiad, irrespective of which paper they have chosen to write. Our reasons for doing this are twofold. Many candidates who wrote the main Olympiad last year expressed the wish to have access to a copy of the first additional language guide and accessed it on the Olympiad website, because it provided some very useful insights and points of departure for study. The second reason is that there is absolutely no reason that a first additional language candidate should feel limited in preparation for the exam. By all means, consider all the talking points. Such reading and study can only enrich your enjoyment of the paper. And I know for a fact that having looked at that first additional language guide, that some of our English home language students would have struggled with it and gone, well, what is that about? Okay, so there were definitely some elements in it that everyone can benefit from. However, it is not required that first additional language candidates prepare all aspects of this guide. If any interested persons were to stretch themselves, we hope that much of what seems more difficult will also be more interesting and challenging. Those parts of the guide that do not relate to the full paper will be clearly indicated. Remember, while all candidates are encouraged to read as much as possible, in 2016, the first additional language candidates will not be examined on Heart of Darkness or Turn of the Screw. All right, so everyone sitting in this room, you will be examined on everything, okay? Every single text that is listed in the content section of the anthology, okay? I'm going to skip that next section, and I'd like you to pop down to where I have highlighted there. The excerpts in the anthology are required reading for the exam. All the stories will be examined in the home language exam. And the list below we'll have a look at in a second. The genre this year is prose fiction. Now, I'm very excited particularly about the Olympiad this year because it's covering a lot of advanced program English material. It really is covering so much of the material in that next year we are doing the prose section. So you are now already preparing for next year's exam, okay, and for next year's part of the syllabus that will be covering for advanced program English, which will be prose, okay. This year we're doing drama, next year is prose, okay. If you'll turn on to page 5, and you can skip the sections. The section at the top where we have the list of texts, we have that already. In parentheses, in brackets there, you see it says, it is recommended but not required that candidates read if able to source it, the full text of this book betrays my brother. It is a quick read and stimulates much thought and controversy. Now, has anyone been able to source that book? I'm sourcing it at the moment. I will let you know by next week where you can get it, and I think it actually goes very cheaply. I'm trying to source it online. Now, having mentioned online, for all students, but particularly advanced program English students as well, I have come across an incredible app, okay? An app that is called Scribed, okay? S-C-R-I-B-D. Scribed, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Has anyone heard of this app? Anyone heard of this app? You've heard of it? You've heard of it? Okay. What you do is you subscribe monthly to this app, so you pay 150 Rand a month. That sounds like a lot. The number of texts that are obscure texts, ancient texts like Prometheus and Apocalypse Now and all the texts that are mentioned in here, I have been able to source not just the texts, but study guides and journal articles. It is a rich, rich resource in which I suggest you invest. It'll help you with your home language as well. Okay, so you have access. Unfortunately, we can't get those texts out of the app. Of course, that's where they make their money. Okay, so but that's fine. They can make their money off me because I'm engaging with that many texts in a month. So it'll either serve you or it's going to cost you. Okay, you will know what category you fall into. Yes, love. Question. Not in stock. Okay. We'll have you tried Take a Lot? Take a Lot. Okay, I'm going to try them. Those are the only people I haven't tried. And I'll let you know by next week how to source it and where. Okay, it's not essential, but I think it would give you some very good context, and I think it's a good read. And also we're supporting South African fiction. Okay, so it's by a South African author from Cape Town, and I like it when we support South African fiction as well. Okay, we're always reading books in the tabloids, and we're always reading American and British texts, and so many texts from India and Afghanistan, have you noticed? Okay, people read, but the good old South Africans, I don't read. You very seldom support your own writers from your own country. So I think we need to make a concerted effort to do that. Okay, so that is the website, the app that you can download, and then it's 150 Rand per month. And really, I've tried it. Any text you can think of is available, except having said support South African fiction, they don't have much South African fiction on there, unless it's been published internationally. Okay, alrighty. Okay, the texts traverse 200, highlight that please, the texts traverse 200 years of English narrative prose writing. Now that's very exciting in that you are getting a taste of 5 or 6 texts here from different eras. Okay, and do you remember last week I gave you that very thick document, that 30-page document, The Context of English Literature in English, that book that I condensed into 30 pages? Do you remember that? Okay, I want you to go and look at that and look at the period that each of these novels falls into so that you can see what was happening at the time. I'm going to give you as much information as possible, but the additional research you must be able to do on your own steam as well. Okay, so I'm spoon feeding you up to a point and providing you with as much as possible just to pass the exam and do pretty well. But if you really want to do exceptionally well, you need to research a little more extensively. Okay, right, at the bottom of the page there, remember too that the guide may not be taken into the examination room when you write the exam. The only thing that you have with you on the day of the exam is your study guide, your anthology, and a dictionary. Okay, not a thesaurus. Okay, you may only have with you the anthology from the Olympiad and an English, concise Oxford, whatever, just an English dictionary. Yes, love. No, you can highlight the word, but don't write the meaning in. Okay, which is brilliant, isn't it? What's it forcing you to do? Memorize the meaning of the word. Okay, or what you can do is, where are you going to put it? Those of you who have one. In your V-book. Okay, all right. Just now I'm going to show you the V-book because some of you don't know about it, and I'll show you how to use it. Okay. Only the text, as we've mentioned, unannotated may be used, and your teacher should allow you access to a dictionary. Please, your own dictionary. I'm not providing dictionaries on the day. If you want to make use of one, you need to bring your own dictionary along. I don't really advise using a dictionary because you only have 3 hours. Rely on your vocabulary, trust your vocabulary as it is, rather than wasting time rummaging through the dictionary trying to find a word where you actually have another alternative. Okay, so you don't need to sound fancy schmancy, okay? They just want you to be able to explain the text if you're doing an argumentative discursive essay. Otherwise, they want a creative piece, and your vocabulary will be sufficient for that. Okay, so trust your vocabulary. If there's really a word you can't remember, then it's for the desperate word you can't remember. Then use it. Otherwise, I wouldn't suggest you use it at all. Okay. We've mentioned you may not make notes of any kind to take into the examination room, but you may use colored post-it markers or highlighters in your anthology. No written notes of any kind. So even though you've got the post-its in, please don't write on the post-its. Okay, right, I've had that in the past as well. Okay. Now, the aim of the English Olympiad, and this I want to read to you because really this is the feeling behind the Olympiad. I know a lot of the people at the Grahamstown Foundation who put these anthologies together, and they really are just trying to expand your awareness, and that's what the Olympiad does for you. Okay. So it says here to us, the English Olympiad aims to enrich young people through the study of English, while at the same time encouraging learners to explore the English language and its literature beyond the scope of the school curriculum requirements. So I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to expect a little bit more from you than what you do in home language, because it's a very sophisticated type of exam that you're writing. Okay. And it's helping you practice your essay writing skills, which will help you for English to home language. But essentially, when you're at school, what are we training you for? A tertiary institution. That's what we're training you for. Okay. By providing learners with an opportunity to work on the basis of self-study and self-motivation. Maybe you want to highlight that. There we go. Self-study and self-motivation. I'll try my best to keep you motivated. The English Olympiad encourages learners to take responsibility for their own learning. Now, you'll notice that I've taken responsibility to quite a large extent. Those of you who arrived late, I hope you just collected on the front desk here after you'd signed the register, just collected a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that we may or may not even get to by the end of this lecture, because we're going to be communing with the text more. Okay. What I might do is, if we don't finish the PowerPoint, then I'll go through the PowerPoint with you next week, but at least you have a copy of the slides. So you go home with a copy of the slides today. Okay, on Frankenstein. Okay. Be empowered in the rigors of academic writing, because academic writing is what is going to get you a degree. Okay, academic writing is what is going to get you your degree. There's not a single subject at university that does not expect you to produce an essay. So you need to understand the construction of an essay. Okay. Think critically and creatively. See the relevance of what they study to themselves and to the world around them, and I'll be pointing that out to you as we go along. Question their assumptions and explore alternative ways of thinking and experiencing the world in which they live. At university, tertiary institution, but it should be implemented at a secondary level. The buzzword is critical analysis. Critical thinking. And as I mentioned to you last week, critical thinking is not judgment. It's not saying this text is terrible, or this was badly written, or this was fantastic. What is that? That's an opinion. It's not critical analysis. Okay. The critical analysis that we're going to engage in, I will just give you an example of now when we look at Frankenstein. Okay. Express those experiences in critically and creatively written responses to the English Olympiad exam questions, and substantiate, highlight that. That's the difference between a B and a C and a C and a D and a paper that's ungraded. Okay, a participation, a thanks for coming. Okay, all right. You don't want to be getting that, and quite frankly, none of you should be getting that. Okay, if you put in the effort. substantiate their opinions with close reference to the texts prescribed for the Olympiad. Right, the date of the exam is the 1st of March. It's Tuesday, the 1st of March. You will be writing it here at the King's School West Rand. I will be communicating with the external schools, the other 3 schools, to liaise with your principal or your head of department, because you need to be seated